Good morning. My name is Simon Wall, B'nai Brith Canada's Chief Executive Officer, and I'm joined today by my colleagues Richard Robertson, our Director of Research and Advocacy, and Paula Samuel, our Regional Director for Quebec and Atlantic Canada. I'd like to start by thanking you all for joining us this morning. I'd also like to thank the entire B'nai Brith Canada team who have worked really tirelessly to ensure that the 2025 iteration of our annual audit of anti-Semitic incidents is in fact an impactful report that adequately reflects the severity of the moment in which we presently find ourselves. As a testament to the lived realities of Jewish Canadians, the audit's findings are far more than just numbers on a page. Sadly, the data we are releasing today confirms beyond a doubt what Jewish communities all across the country have come to know all too well. Anti-Semitism is not simply on the rise in Canada. It is becoming more normalized. Anti-Semitism is becoming more visible and continues to represent an increasing threat to Canadian society. I will now turn it over to Richard and Paula to unpack our 2025 audit's findings for all of you.
Thank you, Simon. It is with both great frustration and disgust that I report our findings for the year 2025. In 2025, for the third straight year, a record number of anti-Semitic incidents were recorded in Canada. The sustained year-over-year increase in incidents of anti-Jewish hate make it clear that, when it comes to anti-Semitism, we have become a nation that tolerates disgraceful levels of hate. From January 1st to December 31st, 2025, B'nai Brith recorded 6,800 incidents of anti-Semitism in Canada. This total represents a 9.3% increase over 2024 and a 145.6% increase over 2022. The 6,800 recorded incidents amount to an average of 18.6 incidents of anti-Semitism per day. This is a national crisis, and it is one that is getting worse. The 9.3% increase from 2024 to 2025 is higher than the 7.4% year-over-year increase from 2023 to 2024. The province of Ontario logged the highest yearly total ever registered by a single province or region since the inception of B'nai Brith Canada's annual audit in 1982. More incidents, 3,194 to be exact, were recorded in Ontario in 2025. That is more than all the incidents recorded in Canada in 2022. Ontario's 3,194 incidents represent 47% of all the recorded incidents in 2025 and a 79.2% increase over Ontario's 2024 total. Other provinces and regions also saw staggering increases in 2025. There were 842 incidents in British Columbia, a 26.2% increase over 2024. The 841 incidents recorded in the Prairie region, which is comprised of Manitoba and Saskatchewan, represent a horrifying 88.1% increase over 2024. In the Atlantic Canada region, which contains New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Prince Edward Island, and Newfoundland and Labrador, there were more incidents in 2025 than in 2023 and 2024 combined. The 384 incidents recorded in the region in 2025 represent an astronomical 114.5% increase in a single year. There were year-over-year decreases recorded in both Alberta and Quebec. However, the 677 incidents recorded in Alberta and the 573 incidents recorded in Quebec attest to the unacceptable new baseline for anti-Semitism that has been established in Canada following the October 7th Hamas terror attack in Israel. Both figures, although decreases from the provincial totals in 2024, are higher than the totals recorded in both provinces in 2022 and 2023. Month to month, although anti-Semitic incidents occurred throughout the year at a rate that would have been incomprehensible before October 7th, the number of anti-Semitic incidents occurring each month increased over the course of the year. The increases in the summer months were fueled in part by the 12-day conflict between Israel and Iran. The year concluded with record-high monthly totals of 982 in 1,404 incidents in November and December, respectively, increases that can be linked to heightened domestic division into a sinister wave of anti-Semitism that followed the Bondi Beach terror attack in December. In 2025, there were 6,491 incidents of anti-Semitic harassment, 299 incidents of anti-Semitic vandalism, and 10 incidents of anti-Semitic violence. 91.9% of all the anti-Semitic incidents recorded in 2025 occurred online. This is consistent with a year-over-year trend, which has seen the digital realm emerge as the leading form in which anti-Semitic incidents occur. The most prevalent forms of anti-Semitism recorded in 2025 were calling for or justifying the killing or harming of Jews, making false, dehumanizing, demonizing, or stereotypical allegations about Jews, denying the occurrence, scope, or mechanisms of the Holocaust, using anti-Semitic symbols and images to characterize Israel, Israelis, or Zionists, and holding Jews collectively responsible for the actions of the State of Israel. Though the figures contained in the 2025 audit are astonishing, we cannot allow anti-Semitism to be rendered into mere statistics that we grow numb to. There was an immense and tragic human cost to the 6,800 incidents recorded in 2025. Each incident documented in the audit meant pain, suffering, and anguish for a human being, a fellow Canadian. A Jewish person that was harassed is not just a statistic. They are a person that was told that they should have been gassed along with their ancestors at Auschwitz. A Hakenkreuz drawn in a schoolyard is not just an incident of vandalism. It is a diabolical act of hate that leaves Jewish children afraid to go to school. And an assault on a Jewish man in a park in front of his children is not just another notation in the violence column. It is an incident that creates generational trauma and leaves an entire cohort of society questioning if they are safe to remain in this country. 2025 saw increases in the number of direct calls for the extermination of Jewish people and for our removal from Canada. For example, terms like liquidation and the menacing #110, which alleges that 109 countries have been cleansed of Jews and suggests that Canada should be the 110th, were used with alarming frequency by Canadians. Another trend in Canada in 2025 was the blaming of Jews for societal ills by nefarious actors from across the ideological spectrum. Anti-Semitic conspiracy theories were disseminated with such frequency in 2025 that it is easier to summarize the totality of the accusations made against Jewish Canadians by simply stating that they were made the scapegoats for all the world's problems. Anti-Semitism has become so ubiquitous in our society that the word Jew is now commonly used as a slur to disparage and malign non-Jews. In contemporary Canada, Jewishness itself has become derogatory. What happened online in 2025 did not stay online. The surge of anti-Semitic violence and vandalism that has plagued Canada during the first few months of 2026 did not occur in a vacuum. The saliency of the lessons of the Shoah appears to have been lost in Canada. We are losing the battle against racism and hatred in this country. As this audit makes clear, we have ceded our digital spaces to radical actors who seek to incite hate and indoctrinate others with their extremist ideologies. This should be of the utmost concern to all Canadians. Radicalization and extremism are a threat to each and every one of us. Though shocking, the numbers contained in the 2025 audit are not surprising. This is what happens when elected leaders at all levels fail to heed the warning signs, decline to act, and enable a permissive environment. If they are incapable of leading us through this crisis, we, as a collective, must compel change. Contained within the 2025 audit are B'nai Brith Canada's 8 actions the government at all levels across the country can take now in response to the national crisis of anti-Semitism. These are not a magic antidote to the anti-Semitism plaguing our country, but they provide tangible solutions that can form the basis of our national response, and they must be actuated upon immediately. Never again is now in Canada.
Bonjour. Les constats que nous présentons aujourd'hui pour l'année 2025 suscitent à la fois frustration et vive indignation. Pour une troisième année consécutive, le Canada a enregistré un nombre record d'actes antisémites. Cette hausse constante, année après année, envoie un message troublant. Notre société tolère désormais des niveaux de haine qui n'auraient jamais dû être acceptables. Entre le 1er janvier et le 31 décembre 2025, B'nai Brith Canada a recensé 6 800 incidents antisémites au pays. Cela représente une hausse de 9,3% par rapport à 2024 et une augmentation de plus de 145% depuis 2022. Concrètement, cela signifie près de presque 19 actes antisémites par jour. Il s'agit d'une véritable crise nationale et la situation continue de s'aggraver. L'Ontario a enregistré le plus grand nombre annuel d'incidents recensés par une province depuis le début de ce rapport en 1982. En 2025, 3 194 incidents y ont été signalés, plus que dans l'ensemble du Canada en 2022. Cela représente près de la moitié de tous les actes recensés cette année et une hausse de 79% par rapport à 2024. D'autres régions du pays ont également connu des hausses alarmantes. En Colombie-Britannique, 842 incidents ont été recensés, une augmentation de plus de 26%. Dans les prairies, les incidents ont presque doublé. Dans les provinces de l'Atlantique, on a enregistré en 2025 plus d'actes antisémites que lors des 2 années précédentes réunies. Même en Alberta et au Québec, on en observe une baisse. Les chiffres restent beaucoup trop élevés. Ils sont largement supérieurs à ceux d'avant octobre 2023. Cela montre que l'antisémitisme a atteint un niveau inacceptable au Canada depuis le 7 octobre. Tout au long de l'année, les incidents ont augmenté mois après mois, jour après jour. L'été dernier a marqué une intensification liée aux tensions internationales et l'année s'est terminée avec un sommet historique en novembre et en décembre. Ces hausses s'inscrivent dans un climat de division sociale accrue et dans une montée de la haine, notamment après l'attentat de Bondi Beach. En 2025, la très grande majorité des incidents recensés relevaient du harcèlement suivi par le vandalisme et par des agressions physiques. Près de 92% de ces actes ont eu lieu en ligne. La numérique est désormais le principal lieu de propagation de l'antisémitisme au Canada. Les formes d'antisémitisme les plus courantes comprennent les appels explicites à la violence contre les personnes juives, la diffusion de propos mensongers et déshumanisants, la négation de l'Holocauste, l'utilisation de symboles haineux, ainsi que la tendance à tenir collectivement les Juifs responsables des actions de l'État d'Israël. Ces chiffres ne doivent jamais être réduits à des simples statistiques. Derrière chaque incident, il y a une personne réelle, un voisin, un collègue, un citoyen canadien qui a vécu l'humiliation, la peur et la violence. Un acte de harcèlement antisémite, ce n'est pas un chiffre abstrait. C'est une personne à que l'on souhaite la mort dans les chambres de gaz d'Auschwitz. Un symbole nazi dessiné dans une école n'est pas une simple dégradation. C'est un message de haine qui plonge les enfants dans la peur. Aujourd'hui, l'antisémitisme est si répandu que le mot juif est couramment utilisé comme une insulte. Cette banalisation de la haine a des conséquences bien réelles. En 2025, les appels à la violence à l'extermination des Juifs et leur expulsion du Canada se sont multipliés. Des propos ouvertement menaçants sont circulés à un rythme jamais observé auparavant. Parallèlement, des groupes extrémistes issus des différents courants de politique ont désigné les Juifs comme responsables de tous les maux de la société. La violence antisémite observée au début de 2025 ne s'est pas produite par hasard. Le Canada est en train de reculer dans la lutte contre le racisme et la haine. Nos espaces numériques sont devenus des lieux de radicalisation et cela représente une menace pour l'ensemble de la société. Les chiffres du rapport de 2025 sont choquants, mais ils ne sont pas surprenants. Ils reflètent l'inaction prolongée, l'absence de leadership et la complaisance de nos dirigeants à tous les niveaux. Si nos élus ne répondent pas à l'ampleur de cette crise, la société civile doit exiger un changement. Le rapport de 2025 de B'nai Brith présente 8 mesures concrètes que les gouvernements peuvent mettre en œuvre dès maintenant pour répondre à cette crise. Ce ne sont pas des solutions miracles, mais ce sont des actions nécessaires et urgentes. Plus jamais. Ce ne sont pas des paroles. Au Canada, il est temps d'agir parce que nous faisons face à une urgence nationale. Merci.
Hi, Dylan Robertson with the Canadian Press. Wondering if you can speak to what works. You've got calls to action here. The picture you're painting is quite troubling. I'm wondering if we can look to anything within Canada or outside Canada that's actually helping to bring down the temperature here, helping to lead to less violence.
Well, thank you for your question, Dylan. What we need in Canada is a multi-level approach to fighting anti-Semitism. This is a national crisis. We need task force. We need consolidated efforts to provide both the immediate relief that is required, such as security infrastructure, funding, and policing. But we also need legislative change. And this is something that no government in this country can do alone. So what we need, in what is demonstrated through our 8 actions, is that this is a whole-of-society problem that's going to require a whole-of-society approach. But it must start now, and it must start at the federal level and be replicated across the country.
So you don't have an example of, like, a jurisdiction that's actually helped to bring this down?
Well, in jurisdictions where extremism and radicalization have been more aggressively confronted, in jurisdictions that have regained control over their digital spaces, we see less vitriolic rhetoric, we see less hate, and that is what we need in this country. Our online realm has become a cesspool, quite frankly, and we need legislation, we need action from invested stakeholders that will allow us to regain some normalcy and to protect the next generation of Canadians, quite frankly, from these online harms, and in turn will allow us to get ahead of the hate that is being propagated.
Oh, sure. Okay, I've got a bunch of questions. Wondering, when it comes to anti-Zionism, what your message is to Canadians who do have a lot of concerns with the Israeli government, statements that come from government officials. You know, the baseline not linking Jews with the action of a foreign state is pretty prominent here. I'm wondering, where do you see the space for people to criticize the Israeli government with everything in the Middle East while not crossing the line into Jewish hatred?
There is nothing wrong with criticizing a foreign government. There is nothing wrong with disagreeing with the actions of a foreign government. But that's not what's recorded in our audit. What is recorded in our audit is political discourse that has crossed the line into hate. Objectively, we have a special section in this year's audit talking about the demonization of Zionism. It is okay to hold political views. It is okay to challenge a nation's response to issues. It is not okay to subject a minority in this country to unprecedented levels of hate because of the actions of a foreign government.
I wanted to ask about the Muslim Brotherhood. You've got calls here to ban the foreign Muslim Brotherhood branches as terrorist groups. We've had other groups, I think the name Tafsik, I'm not sure, had talked about this being operating in Canada, that Muslim Brotherhood is an issue in Canada. I haven't seen hearings on this or anything like that. I'm just wondering if it's your perspective that this is an active group within Canada, or if you're more just sort of looking at the broader ideology underpinning some of this stuff.
Our call for the listing of the Muslim Brotherhood chapters, the international chapters, as terrorist organizations is because those chapters have clearly met the threshold contained within our criminal code for designation as terrorist entities. Our response to any organization, whether foreign or domestic, that meets those thresholds should be listing as a terrorist entity. We cannot allow extremism and radicalization to become more prominent in this country.
And I just wanted to touch on the online spaces because that's a huge part of this report. You know, you mentioned that this is a growing thing. And I'm wondering, I'm not challenging the assertions here, but when it comes to bot activity, when it comes to how much is in Canada, I mean, there's legislative proposals right now looking at this. I'm wondering how much of this is fueled by foreign operations, how much of this is fueled by bots. Again, not trying to say this isn't happening, but I'm just wondering how much can a Canadian jurisdiction get its hands on?
Just like regulating any other industry in protecting Canadians from the potential pitfalls or harms that come with that industry, we need to protect Canadians from the dangers that are rapidly increasing and emerging from digital spaces, whether or not they are coming from foreign or being fueled by foreign-based entities or by foreign corporations. That shouldn't matter. Canada must regulate its online realm and must protect Canadians from the dangers presently existing within it.
Al-Quds Day is mentioned here. This is the report looking at last year. I understand it wasn't this year, but we did see that sort of, you know, brinkmanship with is this going to be banned in a province or not. I'm wondering what can we take from what we ended up seeing, you know, a few weeks ago on the streets in Canada from that event.
Al-Quds Day is an event directly linked to the Iranian regime and to the IRGC, a listed terrorist entity in this country. It is unacceptable, quite frankly, that events directly associated with terror are allowed to occur on an annual basis here in this country. That must end immediately.
And any statement on what we saw this year, or?
At every Al-Quds Day, we see hateful rhetoric. We see rhetoric which promotes and glorifies terrorism. This is simply just conduct that is contrary to our national values and that is dangerous in this moment in time, and it must be stopped.
And then, lastly, I just wanted to ask about this current government. I don't know if you want to give a report card, but how do you assess how the Carney government is dealing with this issue? I mean, it says pretty clearly no jurisdictions have stepped up to the plate the way that you feel is appropriate here. I'm just wondering if, are they doing better than the last year of Trudeau? Is it worse? Is it the same? How would you actually qualify the federal response here?
There's been positive steps taken by the federal government. There's been positive steps taken by provincial and municipal governments across the country. But the numbers speak for themselves. 6,800 incidents of anti-Semitism. This is a national crisis, and we have not seen a response sufficient to the moment. We need a whole-of-government approach. We need the same response to tackling anti-Semitism that we've seen from our federal government when it comes to other crises in this country.
You good?
I think so.
Okay. We have no reporter. Nous n'avons pas personne en ligne. So this will conclude the press conference. Ceci met fin à la conférence de presse. Merci. Thank you.
Thank you.
Merci.